I'm on my way home right now to surprise my boyfriend Stan with some loafers. He's wanted to get loafers and has asked me and just inquired about them, actually particularly during the last few days, like, oh, if only I had loafers, etc. I had already ordered them for him, but I just got a call from him saying, where are you? Like, you're not home. I miss you, etc. And there's nothing this man deserves more than some recognition, because he's genuinely like the most amazing human being I've ever met in my life. He's been the most supportive. As an entrepreneur, you need that. So I'm so excited. This is also like the first gift I've ever been able to really get him myself, with sort of my business going well, finally. So yeah, very special. All right, I'm gonna try this again, because every single time I try and film it, given that video is my job to some extent, when I set up the lights and the camera and the tripod, I find it very hard to be as authentic as if I were to just put a phone on my computer, which is what I've done. But I suppose I think I want to start to just document the behind the scenes of what building MUZE is like. And just for context, MUZE is my creative concept studio. It's based in Copenhagen, where I am. And yeah, there's so much that has changed the past month and a half, I think, which I guess proves this whole snowball effect that people call it. It's a little bit abstract, and momentum is such a up in the air concept until you actually experience it and you're like, oh, this is what it feels like. And I thought I'd experienced momentum 3 times in the last year and a half. And technically speaking, I did, but not to this extent. It feels like everything is going so fast, but not moving at the same time. And it can be the most overwhelmingly amazing sense, but at the same time, I feel absolutely just not lost, but I have no freaking clue where this is going to lead. I know that I want to end up somewhere, but on the day to day, it can feel like I've done absolutely nothing. And then obviously I journal about it, and then I realize that I've done a lot of just important things that just kind of went under my radar, because I'm a very self-critical person. I tend to be very hard on myself, what I'm doing. So that's one thing I've found is I just journal. Journal helps so much. If you can't journal and if you just lack the ability to be reflective, which is not a bad thing, it happens. I struggle to as well. We now have ChatGPT, and you can just tell it about your day and be like, oh, I feel like I've done nothing today. Here's what happened. And then it'll give you a list of your accomplishments. I tried it once. It's very useful. But yeah, so much has changed. I've gone from having no clients, not even knowing when the first one would come in. And that was such a tough place to be in. I remember just breaking down one evening because it's exhausting. It's exhausting to prospect daily, to send outreach messages daily, to cold call daily, to prospect in person daily. I would walk for 4 to 5 hours outside in Copenhagen. Like, I would start at 11 and end at around 4 or 5 p.m. I spent God knows how much on the metro just getting places because I didn't have a bike yet. That's on me. Just to get in front of people and to get my face out there, which is now working, but building that initial sort of snowball, or the momentum effect, whatever you want to call it, I'm not too sure honestly, is incredibly hard, because you don't see anything happening really. You do free work at first, or at least that's what I did. That's how I got a lot of people and a lot of my portfolio is free work. You want to work with them, but for the most part at the beginning, I did not get anyone wanting to work with me. They were very happy with the job, but I wasn't really pitching for paid work, which is also something that I've had to work on, of course. But it's something that you need to learn, is how to hint towards the fact, or just say it straight on as well, that you're doing a complimentary shoot in order to work with them later for paid. That's what I do now, and it works pretty well most of the time. But now I actually have recommendations and people saying that they saw this and, saw my video here and they really like my work and way of doing things because it's slightly different to what a lot of video companies do in Copenhagen, I guess. My second client actually came because she liked my work. I never really pitched her too much. I reached out, but it was already it was a lukewarm reach out, let's say. And yeah, it has snowballed from there quite a bit, which is amazing. It's such a crazy feeling to go from not knowing when your first paycheck is coming and that being really risky because my boyfriend was supporting us, to now being able to support myself business wise, not completely personal life wise, but that'll come. It's an incredible feeling, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel like I thought it would. I thought reaching a certain revenue goal, which I have now, that I thought that I wouldn't reach until sometime in the year, not nearly as soon. I thought that that would feel insane and that it would be life-changing or something, which it technically is, because I can afford to buy the equipment I need, buy help, buy mentorship, get ahead, like buy time, essentially, right? That's what I'm trying to do. Oh my. But it doesn't feel that way. Sure, it's amazing, and I don't want to complain about how I'm making an income from something I started without even going to school for cinematography or anything. But it doesn't feel like I thought it would. It doesn't feel as thrilling. It feels like I am now looking and working like an absolute crazy woman to reach this next revenue goal of mine. And I'm starting to wonder if it's always going to feel like that. Not that I am not going to go for it, because I know myself and I am. But I thought it would feel a lot different. I suppose this is a message to myself 4 months ago, to just not expect just reaching a certain revenue, or, just getting a certain amount of money coming in a month into your business to feel revolutionary, because it doesn't. For me, it's the amount of client work I have and the relationships I'm building. Sure, the money is amazing, but it doesn't feel nearly as, not ecstatic, but I don't know how to say it, but insane as I thought it would. Obviously, for someone making nothing, making what I'm making now, which is, I suppose I'll just, I'm currently making around 3,000, something like that. This month I reached nearly 5, but that's because it was 2 one-off projects. Next month I don't exactly know what it'll look like yet. I know I'm working on closing 2 clients, and I guess I'll be able to make a little bit of a video about my way of closing, or just prospecting in general. This is more of a little diary entry, I suppose. But it's one of those things where right now I just I don't want to go to sleep. Sometimes I don't feel like I deserve it either, because I need to get ahead. I need to constantly be working on something. I need to constantly be moving towards what I want. I need to be making progress every single day. I don't take a single day off. There's not a single day that I've taken off in about 5 months, which is honestly not that much, but it still is a substantial amount of time. And the pressure that I put on myself, it does not go down. And I think some people would not be able to put this amount of pressure on themselves. And I think that might be something slightly wrong with me for that. You never know. But it's just, yeah, there's so much that I want to understand about how content makes people want to purchase. I think that's just seeing a video and being like, oh yeah, I'm going to spend such and such amount of money. That's an abstract concept to me right now, but I want to figure it out. And you can only figure it out by trial and error, or paying to figure it out through someone who already has the experience. Thank God there's a lot of people like that now. But the point remains that there's so much that I have to do right now, because my ability to do it all in one day is very limited, and that's because I need to increase my output ability, or whatever it's called. I think it is output ability. And I'm trying to understand how to manage my time better and how to get into these deep work sort of periods without having to use so much stimulants, because I currently use a few stimulants. Not using those all the time would be great, but I'm not too sure how. And there's just this constant pressure that I feel on my shoulders that myself I put it on there, like that's no one else did for me, but I feel it all the time. There's not a single moment during the day where I don't. There's this thing that I read in a book called The Psychology of Sales, or no, it's by Brian Tracy. I'm not too sure which one it is because I've read a few of his books now. But he said there's this saying that he has in his head where it's like back to work, and I say that all the time, like all day in my head is just an automatic sort of little voice that comes up, I suppose. Yeah, all the time in my head it's back to work, and it can drive you mad. But that's just how I'm able to kind of maintain this sort of constant work. I'm up at 5 a.m. I start then. Then I go to my co-working office when it's open. It's not open on weekends. And then I end over there at 5 because that's when it closes. And then I come home, go to the gym, and I work some more. That's all I do. That is all I do. And I think that that's helped tremendously in the amount of momentum I've been able to build. But at the same time, it's not the healthiest nor most sustainable way. And I know that once I reach my goal income for the end of the year is 10,000 euros in revenue. Once I reach that, I will have to start to understand how to have these intense few months or weeks and then just rest for a few days and then go back into it because I don't want to burn out. And I just don't know how to rest right now. That is just not something that I know how to really fully do. Even if I am resting, most of the time I'm just telling myself that I should be working. So it's not really rest. But I will try and keep up these little daily, not daily probably, a few times a week vlog, put them together, and then maybe just call them Week in My Life or something. Just to remind myself that I'm doing okay. And who knows, maybe someone will watch these and it'll help them. Even just one person would be really cool.